Um, Yay. Okay, now we're live. Okay. So here we are. It's working. I've borrowed so much time in my life, and I feel like it's moments like this where I have to karmically pay it back. Like I've borrowed so much energy and so much time doing so many different things that I have all of these like record scratch moments. But I love them. They're like in betweens, they're like this negative space where like the residual thoughts and feelings and energies of other areas of your life kind of seep in, and then you kind of get to reflect on them, and like, yeah, it's fun. So tarot is cool, but let's end suffering. Yeah. Today we're going to talk about mysticism. Welcome to Tarot and the 22 Paths, a mystical analysis. We're going to be jumping down the wormhole into the world of tarot through the lens of the Hermetic Kabbalah, and especially its implications in a non-dualistic approach to life and being, which has kind of been my jam lately. If you follow my stuff, I'm a whore for a good paradigm, and I've been in so many different paradigms and philosophies, but I do end up returning often to some type of pantheistic / non-dual kind of thing. So that's what we're going to be playing with today. Oh, hi, everyone. The chat is heating up. If you're watching on my Instagram, I'm actually going to recommend you go to my YouTube, because that's where I'm going to be primarily, but I'm going to be double fisting this bad boy. Okay, so I'm so happy everyone's here. This is so exciting. It's so great to see you all. Some familiar faces. Yeah, look at this moment. We're all here. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to get into a lot of fun things. Housekeeping before I go on another tangent is there is a download for this class. I don't know yet how to share my screen and stuff on YouTube Live, and I'm a little bit scared to do so. The vulnerability, But if you want to download the handout that's going to go with this class, I highly recommend it. You can do it for free. All you have to do is go to tarotmysticismacademy.com. And if you're on YouTube, the link is right in the description on where to download this. It's like, I don't know, 6 or so pages. And if you're on Instagram, the way you can download it is go to the link in my bio, and there's a tab on top that says the name of this workshop, Tarot and the 22 Paths. You hit that, and then it will bring you to where you can hopefully download it. But yeah, if anyone has any problems downloading it, let me know. And oh, this is so cool. Okay, hi Alicia, hi Julie, hi Marion, hi Peaceful Warrior. I'm so happy you're here. Kayla, yes, yes, we were emailing. Coffee Cups Tarot, Stacy, so good to see you. Spiral, so good to see you. Sue's my mom. Madison, Creative and Spiritual Inspiration, hello. Sam, hello. Kelly, hello. Gina, oh, I miss you, Gina, hello. And everyone else who's here and everyone who's on Instagram, hello. So we're going to be going through a lot of stuff. So I would definitely recommend you download the guide and use it as I'm kind of speaking about this stuff, because it's much more easy to visualize things, even though the visual is a trap, and we're going to discuss that today. Everything I tell you in this workshop is a lie, and I wouldn't trust me if I were you. But if you want to have fun, then I would stick around, because we're definitely going to have fun. Hi Fortune Cookies, hi Gina. Also check out Joe's other classes. I've taken several with him. He is amazing. Thank you so much, Gina. Gina is an amazing, super talented reader, super strong inspiration. Julie, hi. Okay. All right, so the topic of today is, honestly, mysticism. I want to be honest with you guys, I love tarot, I love the esoteric, I love magic, I love philosophy, but I swear the one thing that I have found, and I've read a pretty good amount of books, I'm no academic, but I've read a lot, I've researched a lot, and I've talked to a lot of amazing people, including a lot of amazing academics. The one thing that I have found to be the absolute, pretty much the same thing around every culture and time period is mysticism. When you start looking at mysticism, you start seeing things are really, it's more of an experience that people try to convey in every possible way, including all of the mystical paths and all of the methods, but including, Kabbalah and tarot and dancing and meditation and mantra and symbol systems and non-symbol systems. it's so diverse in the approach, but so just similar in the result and in the core kind of thing. Okay, so if you walk away with one thing from this class, I want you to know that I really, a lot of this stuff is really the same. And it's just, every road leads to truth in one way or another. It's like there's only, well, let me not get ahead of myself. So go and download the thing. We're going to talk about some stuff. Hey, Warren. Hey, C. Hey, everyone. Okay, so the cover is, and I'm going to try not to have a spoiler alert, but the movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, okay? It's just a little nod to that movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Like, stop watching me and go watch this damn movie. Let me just show you. So if you're on the magical path, mystical path, you could read all this stuff and do a lot of rituals and meditate and do all this cool stuff. And that's great. And if you do that, you're badass and we should talk. But if you want to save time, all you have to do is go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's literally everything you need to know about some deep stuff jam-packed into a brilliant masterpiece. And so I'm going to be hinting at I'm going to be referring to that a little bit. Another thing is in this live, I've kind of constructed it so there's a lot of layers to meaning for different things I'm going to share with you guys. And that, of course, is just life and consciousness, because everything is kind of, holographic, all the design of one is in everything. But really, there's several, if things feel semantically clunky, that's okay. There's many layers of meaning to different things, and that's kind of the point. So let's get into this. What book was that? The book was The Golden Dawn by Israel Regardie, also known as The Black Brick. Okay, so we're looking at guides for tarot. Okay, tarot. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's talk about mysticism for a second before I go right into the Tree of Life, and then I'll occasionally look at chat. I am double fisting here. So I'm going to define mysticism for you, just not for what it means, but what it means in the context of this class. Mysticism is really the experience or method of arriving at an experience of some level of intimacy with reality, but even more real than real. We can also say it's union with all or some transcendental experience, but that's starting to get more specific. Of mysticism is ultimately just any sort of method or experience of complete union with the real. And that's you might say God or the source or nothingness. And this is language in so many different ways. And the semantics of this can be very confusing, right? Because you might go to a Brahmin and they'll say it's Brahma, but you go to a Buddhist and it's there is no Brahma. There's not. So it's they're kind of talking about the same thing, but using different language, and that can throw people off sometimes. But ultimately, it's different paths to an experience. So, and if you only, and this is what I'm going to say, and a lot of the stuff that I say to you guys, I want you to just chew on it, play with it. I don't want you to align and agree with it or resist and react to it. It's fun, it's ideas. So I want you to kind of chew on it, explore it for a little bit, and see what happens, and take what's true for you and leave the rest, like anything. You too, Power of Hecate. Okay. So, I lost the live. Where'd the live go? Oh, here we go. Let's move you over here, and I'm going to move this over here. I'm just moving squares and windows around. I'm moving Maya around. I'm manipulating the world of illusion on my desktop. Okay. So I'm going to tell you the one thing, and if you take away one thing from this class, it's this. And this is a little trippy and a little weird to explain, but when we're looking at anything that is mystical, in the sense of mysticism, in the sense of philosophies, thoughts, practices, ideas, and or experiences that are related to the intimate connection with the ultimate ground of being. Whenever we're doing that, the big irony here, this is why it's so damn ironic. You read mystical texts and there's these weird contradictions, right? The reason why is because what we're looking at and what we're trying to explain and play with and express is our self. Okay, so it's like trying to, like Alan Watts, I don't know if Alan Watts said this or someone said this, it's like trying to describe cornea, you know, this layer of eye that we look at, or it's trying to taste your own tongue. You know, it is inherently contradictory and almost it's like impossible. So when we're doing that, this is why it breaks away from like science. And like there's an amazing influencer. His name is Yemsax, and he was saying how all of the sciences are built from math, and how math is built from logic, and how logic is ultimately built from the inherent human experience. But when we're looking at mysticism, we're asking ourselves, and not just in a self-development psychological sense, where we are trying to be a spectator and observe ourselves. The irony is the self that we are trying to figure out is the thing doing the figuring, okay? This is really big. Your mic is going in and out. Oh, thank you for letting me know. So if my mic is going in and out, I'm going to, is that for YouTube? Can everyone hear me? Oh, you're breaking up a little. The sound is a bit strange. Oh, okay, this is for YouTube. Let me on here. Okay, what does this do? Let's see what else we can do about this. Can we change it? Can we edit it? I'm gonna keep talking and let me know if the mic, how about now? Maybe if I move closer, we can get closer. How about now? I don't know what this, Let's see. Oh, can I edit? What would that do? Customization? Ooh. Live chat. Better now. Video quality degraded too, so I feel like it's your internet. It might be. It's clearer now. Okay. If I start breaking up, let me know. And now I lost the Instagram. Okay. So if I start breaking up, let me know. And if I'm breaking up, can you do something obnoxious like put a bunch of like A's and like hit like, so I see a long line of A's? Okay, cool. So yeah. So what we're looking at is in mysticism, we are exploring like our operating system, within that there is like the shadow work and the psychological work and the healing work and the realizing who we are. But when we shift into realizing what we are, it's the operating system trying to understand itself. So there is somewhat of an infinite loop here. There is somewhat of an Ouroboros. There is somewhat of a like constantly coming back incarnated to try to figure it out. But that's kind of the beauty of it. When we look at incarnation in that way, it's like we're incarnating not because we're bad or because there's consequences and there's karma, but it's literally the ultimate ground of being continuously trying to taste its own tongue and experience itself. And this is the big irony. And there are tools and methods and meditations and thought experiments embedded in different mystical practices that take this and kind of it spins your brain around a little bit, and it's really fun. If I'm not clear on the YouTube, it's okay. As long as you can hear me, that's the most important part. As long as you can hear me and you have this downloaded in front of you, then we're in good shape, because that's really all we need. And actually, we don't need any of it, because we're talking about the ultimate ground of being, which is everything ever all at once. So even if you can't hear me and can't see me, there's really nothing to hear, nothing to see. Okay, let's get into this. So in the vein of this fun contradiction of self trying to perceive self, which is this infinite loop. That's what this tattoo I have over here actually means. It is, thank you, Power of Habit. In the vein of that, I want to share with you guys a poem that was apparently written by Catherine Craister. That's what Wikipedia told me. And it's called A Centipede's Dilemma, and it goes like this. A centipede was happy quite, until a toad in fun said, "Pray, which leg moves after which?" This raised her doubts to such a pitch, she fell exhausted in the ditch, not knowing how to run. Now, when I first read this poem, it was like, it was teaching me about mindfulness, where mindfulness is not narrating your life. I used to narrate my life with mindfulness. I was literally doing Zen wrong. It like screwed up my life for a bit, honestly. But when I realized mindfulness is not about self-narrating and trying to figure out which leg moves in front of which, but it's like being in the flow of all this kind of spontaneous flow state, then we were good. So that's the first layer of interpretation to this poem, is like being in the flow state, letting go, and by letting go, things kind of move. You don't have to force it, right? Or analyze it, right? And if you're following me, you're probably maybe somewhat like me, a head tripper. You like ideas and you like clunky ideas, and I like to try to force life, you know? But in surrendering, the centipede just flows, right? Another layer to this hints at the irony of mysticism, which is like, why would a centipede need to count its legs or understand which legs moves in front of in the order of that? It's kind of ironic. It's just moving, right? And that's kind of the joke at the end of mysticism. It's like you do the stuff that you never really had to do. So it's like, what's the point of it all? And for that reason, why would you ever need to buy one of my courses or work with me? There, my business is now in tatters. It's like, is there a point to it? And the point to it, hopefully, maybe we can start to explore today, because what we're going to do today is we're going to put the point in the circle, right? We're going to put the point in the circle. We're going to try to find the point of it all. I love a good point. Okay, you get the point? Which poem? The poem is The Centipede's Dilemma by Catherine Craister. So we may, at the risk of our demise, attempt to count and try to figure out which leg of our centipede moves in front of which. But in so doing, we may arrive at this sense of futility and ultimate surrender, and then it might all start making sense again. And there is the relationship between zooming into the particulars and zooming out into the whole is a huge concept in all of mysticism, and a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So zooming into the legs of the centipede, counting them and seeing how they work, versus zooming out and fully being that centipede, or looking at it, or beholding the beauty of nature, or whatever. So that moves us to our next page, right here. So again, if you haven't downloaded this, I recommend it. You can download it at tarotmysticismacademy.com. The link is in the description of my YouTube video, and it is also in the link in my bio. It never makes sense even when it does. Yeah. When you realize it's a question, not an exclamation point. So this is not a, so this is just a general kind of, I want to express the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, but maybe not in the way that we normally think about it, because when we think about that, we can be a little bit divisive. And I don't see the thing with, like, people have used gender to express these mystical ideas that really can't be expressed. We have to understand that. And the two ideas are this. I'm going to try to explain it simply. What people generally mean, and this is not everyone, but this is a lot in like mysticism and different traditions, you know, Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism. You have the masculine, which is pure consciousness itself, okay? We might compare this to the infinite observer underlying all of our experiences. We might compare it to Purusha. We might compare it to the Tao. I have a list of things you may choose to compare it to. The All, Brahman, Shiva, this masculine entity, but it's not an entity. It's really the ultimate ground of being. It's everything that is, but not in form. And the idea is from the masculine, and you have to, like, and this is why I don't like saying masculine, but I haven't had another word yet. Maybe I'll just use numbers. I think maybe we'll just use 0 and 1, right? Let's do that. Let's say 0. Masculine is 0, is the 1. Out of the 0 comes the 1, and the 1 is the feminine, and the feminine is form. And you know, if you look at it anthropologically or mythologically, maybe this makes sense, because Vagina having humans tend to make babies, right? I mean, non-vagina having humans can't really do that. So women and other vagina having humans, they make babies. And so that has become a symbol of form, of manifestation. And so the masculine has become a symbol of non-manifestation, okay? Like the seed, the underlying. So the thing about this dichotomy that we have to understand is, I want to change the way we think about the word non-duality and non-dualism. When Buddhists and mystics say non-dual, we normally think of, okay, there's not separate things. They're saying that everything is one, right? And that's cool. But another interpretation of non-duality is not so much that everything is one, but what they're saying is there's not a separation between the unity, the masculine, the zero, the underlying ground of being, and the many, the feminine, the form, all the magical forms, all the thoughts, ideas, bodies, entities that come out of this ultimate unity. They're saying that there's not a separation between the two, but a separation between the two is created for the convenience of the student. So it's much easier for us to conceive of a unity and a diversity, okay? And all mysticism talks about this, right? The Tao, the unity, and the Te. The Te is the working of the Tao. In ancient Greece, they use the word logos. Logos is mind, thought, intelligence. It is the intelligent working of the supreme mystery, God, all of that. And so the logos in this sense would be the feminine kind of. So from 0 into 1, I like numbers because they're simple, and I just kind of have a crush on Pythagoras. So 0 going into 1 is nothing coming into something. And so in all mysticism, what we're looking at is we're trying to figure out why there's an appearance of the finite, but an intuition of the infinite. And I don't know how many of you here have had an intuition of an infinite. I have had, and a lot of people I've talked to, and maybe you have not, but I come to expect that mysticism is that weird bridge that tries to bridge the gap between why is there death and destruction and time and ego and grief and this and the illusion of lack and oh my God and suffering, which is like in the realm of finite, but we have this intuition of infinite. Could this all just be one giant collective species defense mechanism? Yes. And is it okay? Yes, because it does a lot of good. And I will say that theologically, philosophically, and even scientifically, pushing all that aside, if we look at this work purely based on results and experiences that you can have, there is a beautiful validity to it. So we're looking at, so when we look at non-dual, instead of thinking, okay, there's not duality, there's oneness, because we can't, like, okay, that's a cool thought, like, oh, everything is one, and we have that for about 20 seconds, and then we have to go pay our taxes and drive on the street and then make coffee and go to work, and it's like gone. So mysticism bridges the gap between those two worlds, between the Maya and the absolute, between the matrix and the non-matrix. What are your thoughts on light language? It's cool. I look at it like a creative expression vibe. Yeah. 93, Freider Ordis. Okay. So yeah, I wanted to just make this clear because you can pretty much find this dual design paradigm and remember, I can't stress this enough. The two of these, the infinite ground of being, the masculine, the zero, and the one, the form, the model, are the same. Separation between the two. And that is the whole point of mysticism. It's actually finding that space and that truth that is both us in our bodies now, looking at a screen, and also the consciousness that is pervading all of us right now, that is observing all of these experiences and thoughts and everything. Okay, so the mysticism is the bridge and the experience of those two as one. So if you're a Thoth deck nerd like me, this is what Crowley's saying when he says the 2 in 1 conveyed in the Chariot card. And we'll get into that. And I would go as far as to say that every major arcana card in the tarot illustrates this point in a different way. Okay? They all say the same thing. You ever read a tarot book and you're like, oh, so this card's about change and trust, and okay, and then it's like the next card's like, oh, this card's about change and trust as well. And the next card, oh, this card's about change and trust as well, just a little different. The reason why they're all so similar and they kind of give the same message, and so many tarot readings in themselves give a lot of the same, like how many times you got a tarot reading and it says, trust the process, I see a lot of change, maybe some uncertainty, but trust the process. It's because the mystical technology of tarot is showing us the truth, which is the bridge between the many and the one. The many is that place of uncertainty where we have this curiosity of why are we separate, or any motivation, any like seed of suffering, like any karmic shit that we have going on comes out of this illusion of lack, comes out of this like, why is there this finite nature versus this intuitive truth of everything and all at once, like infinite being. Okay. So tarot is the bridge between that, like all mysticism, if you're working with it in a mystical way, by the way. Hey, Carol, I'm happy you're here. Hey, Juno. Okay. So before I go into the tree of life, oh boy, we're already a half hour in. Before I go into the tree of life, I want to check if there's any questions so far, because this is fundamental to understand the tree of life and to understand tarot from a esoteric perspective, because everything at least in the Hermetic Kabbalah, builds on each other, right? So this is happening. Everything I talk about after this moment is this, okay? And remember in the beginning of class, I said there are many layers to meaning to different things I'm going to tell you guys. It's cumulative. So we're building up on everything. Cool. Okay. Any questions so far? If you put a question and it's like under in the chat and I didn't see it, you can repost it. One of the reasons I do makeup so often, well, one is because I have a Virgo Jupiter and makeup is very challenging. And the Virgo Jupiter kind of gets in this very hyper fixated mode. But one of the reasons I love makeup, and I think it's a mystical practice, is because, well, any art, any art, but makeup specifically is because you're manipulating the illusion of depth and through color and texture and different things to create something new. But you're creating this depth, the illusion of depth, and that right there is kind of that bridge between the infinite zero and the presence of the many, the one and the many. The one is you and consciousness observing, doing the makeup. The many is the manipulation of sensation through the manipulation of makeup, which reflects color differently to our eyes, right? So you're manipulating sensation to create this diversity. And you might even extend that to you're almost creating a new ego in the world of the many, but it is linked to the world of the one. So what are your thoughts on that? Okay. Hey, your audio is glitching again. Oh no. Okay, first time seeing Virgo. Joe, you are looking on point and you are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, Amber. Oh, I miss you, Amber. It's so great to see you. Victoria, hello. Eyes on point, thank you. The password reset ain't showing up, so no download yet. Let's see. I would make another account and let me know, and then I can merge your accounts if you want me to. Do you believe we are in a period of convergence? That's interesting. Maybe. I honestly feel like there's my view on more collective like rhythms and changes is I do think there is an exponential curve of like development, but I hesitate to say this because I don't like, I'm very much developing. So for me, there's like an exponential curve. of general improvement of life and me and my being. And so I might be projecting that on the world, but we might say maybe the world is too. There's definitely in like technology and other different things. So I always hesitate to talk about collective shifts because I feel like we've always been in a collective shift. Like, I don't know if you guys were there, but do you remember the time when like that like fool like who became a hero like first walked on land or crawled on land or fell on land, and then we were all like, hey guys, let's get out of the sea. And then we started crawling on land and doing all types of amphibian things, and we were like, whoa. And then and that was a shift, right? And then do you remember how that one dude like grew thumbs and started playing with trees and grabbing things, and we all grew thumbs, we all started making tools, and that, that was a shift. And then, the invention of the internet, and then it's just like, there's always a shift, there's always a singularity. So I don't know, but maybe there could be so many that I'm unaware of. Hi, Neil. Oh, I miss you so much. It's so good to see you. Loving the Fierce Makeup and Beard Game. Oh, thank you so much. I miss you, Neil. Neil's amazing. He's an amazing magician. He's Renaissance man all the way. A million talents. Nothing is static, true. Life is one big development. Yes, off balance on purpose. Totally, yeah, because the off balance nature gives the dynamic back. It's a dance, Look how much fun we're having. It's a dance. Cool. So I'm going to continue the discussion on the, ironically, the dual nature of the many and the one, and how it shows up down the tree of life. So the tree of life, yeah, it's a fun one. This would be like the Jacob's ladder, the bridge, the planets. If we're looking at like an older like Greek or Neoplatonic worldview, we would say like ascension happens literally through the planets. Like we ascend through the planets and reach higher until we become one with the Empyrean or the firmament or whatnot. We like go outside of the solar system to expand to higher depths of awareness and all that good stuff. But the tree of life kind of expresses this general idea. And this stuff is, it's been around. So I don't want to go too much into the tree because a lot of you are either my students or have taken some of my intro classes or have seen my videos on this stuff. So if you're confused, let me know. We can chat another time. But I want to kind of go right into a development on the tree, which is a little bit of a proposal, but I've never taught the tree of life in this way. So I'm going to call it heretical. I'm going to teach you guys a heretical tree of life. So this is maybe non-traditional. So be careful with who you share this with. And if I get burned at the stake, I've lived a good life. So the tree of life. So we have this dichotomy of the infinite awareness that is underlying all things. Okay. You've heard that, right? You've heard become the observer. You've heard Eckhart Tolle, you're not your mind, you are not your body, you are not your thoughts. When we allow ourselves to observe our thoughts and body and mind, what we're doing is experiencing the underlying awareness that is the substratum from which all these things come from, okay? So it's actually the most healing thing you can do. And in my classes, when we do healing work, I really just, we observe the feeling. And there's never a right or wrong time for a feeling if you're ready to feel it and observe it. As opposed to using other thoughts and feelings to kind of be at war with it, When we kind of zoom out and become the observer, we recognize that we are not those things. We've heard these things, okay? Santiago, I love how you share your knowledge. I hope one day I could go to one of your classes in public. I'm from Argentina. You always remind me, Lane Staley of Alice in Chains. Ooh, Alice in Chains. I haven't followed them too much, but I have what I've heard of them. Okay. Yeah, by the way, I am teaching a Thoth Tower Master course in less than a month. And actually, I'm going to just pitch this I'm going to plug this real quick because every time I teach a class, and I'm so happy with how things have been running and everyone I've met, it's been amazing. But every time I teach a class, I have an application period, and what I do in the application period is I meet with people one-on-one, and I get to chat with you because I create a very intimate group, and everyone that has come to my class has really enjoyed each other. Like, it's really a community now. It's really awesome, lots of smart, super talented, amazing people. And the courses I do are there's a lot of information. There's ebooks, there's over 20 hours of video, there's live training sessions, there's mentorship from me. It's a lot of stuff. It covers a lot of ground, from spiritual things, esoteric things, practical divination to professional work. But every time I have an application open for a course, people kind of come in and they apply, and it starts to fill up. But then a week after the class starts, like the day before, I always get a bunch of people that are like, hey, is there any spots left? And at this point, I can't take people late because it's too much to be able to enroll everybody. And if you miss one class or you miss a week, you're already way behind, especially for this upcoming course. The course, Stacy says the classes and community are beyond stellar. Yay, Stacy. Stacy is brilliant. If you ever get to chat with her or email her, oh my God, you are so lucky. She's a brilliant writer. She's very witty, very smart, and I'm so happy she's part of the community. Yeah. Wait, the Peaceful Warrior Tarot. Who are you? I don't know who you are. I've never seen the screen name of yours before. But yeah, it's an amazing community. But my thing is, if you want to jump in, I recommend applying soon because it really does fill up and I can't be accepting people late. And another thing is this course that's coming up, the Thoth Tarot Master course, is a full curriculum. So people that haven't taken my level 2 are probably going to be taking a speed through level 2 to catch up for the level 3. That's how I've been doing it. So far it's worked because it's a lot of my Thoth Tarot Master. I mean, it's the Thoth deck. So you have to understand Kabbalah, you have to understand astrology, you have to understand some basic reading methods and numbers, and gotta get a feel for the cards. So that's what my advanced tarot is for. So people that have not taken advanced tarot that want to take Thoth Tarot Master course, I do have an accelerated program if you apply early. So applications are open for these, by the way, but they're only open for a month or less at this point. I think, yeah. Cool. So I'm really excited for that, and the community keeps growing. It's pretty freaking awesome, and pretty much this is what we do, except we're on Zoom and we're actually chatting with each other and engaging. So, yeah. Oh, Danny, Peaceful Warriors Tower. Danny, I'm so happy you're here. Danny, you are so sweet. Danny's another huge inspiration, very talented tarot reader. Danny's very much a vibe. Victoria says, apply, y'all. So much beautiful growth awaits you. Oh, thank you, Victoria. Yeah, and really, I keep saying this, but I really this makes me get all emotional. But it's really the people that I've met doing these courses and the community that's built is so freaking cool, because tarot and the type of tarot that I'm teaching, it's a very niche thing. It's kind of weird. You kind of have to be a little weird to get into it, but everyone is so smart and so freaking cool. Okay, but yeah. So yeah, and if anyone's new to tarot, I also have a beginner's course called Fastest Way to Learn Tarot. And if you want to take that, shoot me an email. I'll send you a discount code for that. That one you don't have to apply for. That one's open to everybody. Weird is beautiful. Yeah, weird has etymological connections to fate and spirituality. And, it's the Fool. It's all of these guys were weirdos, if you think Diogenes, Pythagoras, Socrates, they were so weird and great. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back into this gig. So we were talking about the relationship between the one and the many and how it's actually the same thing. Yeah, do I want to share a weird experience? Not yet. I'm going to come out with a video soon about some of my personal experiences, but I want to keep this educational and not too anecdotal. Yes, I'm so excited to dive into Thoth too. It's going to be such a trip. Okay, so yeah, so the Tree of Life, I'm going to present this to you in a new way. And if anyone doesn't have this and wants to download it, I knew this was going to happen. Can everyone hear that alarm? All right, I'm going to keep going anyway. If it gets too annoying, let me know and I can pause and then come back to the live. But of course, they're going to put a freaking alarm when I do my one live of the month or the year. Okay, so what we're looking at with the tree of life, it's alerting to So what we're looking at with the tree of life is Lionsgate emergency. Leos, I love you guys, but it's always a fanfare, always a damn fan. I love it, you know? Actually, let's talk about this. Attention. So attention is really what Leos are all about. And I don't mean that in an ego, like saying they're egotistical. What I mean is Leos have an ability to work with attention. They have this capacity that the other signs do not. They can take attention and nurture it and work with it so that something is happening, right? This class is on fire. And that ability is reflected in the strength card and the lust card of the tarot, which is attributed to Leo. And we know that strength and the lust card has the woman and the lion. And so what she's doing is through her attention, she is manipulating energy, or it is her attention that is the energy manipulation, however you want to look at it. Palladian space penguins on, yeah. The space penguins are here. So, and what I wanted to, one of the reasons why I wanted to teach this today is because with the Lionsgate portal, we're working with Leo. Leo is the strength card, number 8, and being the horizontal path in the tree of life, it expresses the path of the flaming sword. It expresses the path through which the entire tree was created. I'm getting geishas. So the tree of life, if you order the Sephirot in their order, you see the order of creation is the flaming sword, which is expressed in the strength card, the lust card, and that title is daughter of the flaming sword. So the same, is your door locked? It is locked. Is someone out to get me? Maybe. They do this test sometimes, and it's like really obnoxious. Let me check chat while this alarm is going off. Cue the Leo trumpets. The spirit always makes its presence known. Yeah. That's energy. This class is on fire. We're about to blast off. Leo's LOL. Tension holds tension. Yes. I will be right back. An emergency has been reported in this building. While this report is being verified, please stand by for further instructions. Do not enter the fire exit. Do not use the elevators. Okay. Attention. An emergency has been reported in this building. While this report is being verified. Let me, is the alarm distracting? Because if it is, I can pause until it is done. If it's not too distracting, I can keep going. It is distracting. This is a Gebra moment. This is very much a Gebra moment. The space penguins are literally landing in Joe's building. Oh, is Don here? So yeah, in this disruption, not okay. So I'm just going to keep going while the alarm's going off. And actually, it's a good practice of being with the one and the many, building the bridge of the two. Oh, DF is Don. Hi, Don. Oh wow, cool. I haven't seen a lot of these screen names, so this is so fun. Just got here. What in the? Yeah, it's like an alarm. Okay. So. It'll eventually go away. Actually, I'm going to take a minute to do quick readings if anyone has a question, and then we're going to go back into the lecture. So if anyone has a question, like divination-wise, I'll do some quick readings here. Hopefully in the next couple minutes, it will be finished. But yeah, let me know if anyone has some questions. Tree of Life is revolting against Joe. Yeah, and you know what's cool about the Tree of Life it kind of is this like weird revolt. It's like in the beginning of the live, we were talking about the irony of mysticism. How can the self behold the self? And there's this like, the tree of life is kind of this ladder into what already is. So it's kind of like it's like the alchemical art is just the art of expressing what already is. It's like not needed per se. Okay, Amber's asking, will I be attending a funeral soon? Okay. So I invoke thee, Iao, that thou send Haru, the great angel, set upon the operation of this wisdom, lay invisible hands, and consecrate Christ of us, thereby obtain knowledge of hidden things, your natural name. Amen. Ooh. 5 of discs maybe, potentially. But 5 of discs might also be, let's see, 5 of swords. So they're possibly, but there's a little bit of a sense of there might be a schedule conflict. It might be hard to get to. Like you may plan to, but something comes up or your schedule stops you. And that's okay. Like, it's fine. Okay, let's go. Hi, MX Lore. Ocean is here. Ocean's one of my best friends. They're super talented. Everything. Fire, magic, witch, and I love you. Okay, so let's get back into this gig. I did one reading. Maybe I'll do, if you guys want me to do readings, I'll do it towards the end. But I want to get through this material. I might have to make a part 2 because we're already 47 minutes in. So yeah, thank you, Alarm, for reminding us of the Geburah and the Lion's Gate, very fanfare. Leo the Lion stems from Hesed to Geburah, from the manifest world to the manifest world of motion. But in our model, in the model that I am proposing to you, it's from the subjective experience to the objective world. So let's talk about this heretical tree of life, because the thing about the tree of life is it's really cool as an idea, and I love a good idea. I'm a sucker for a good idea. But I'm a little bit more about, some of my students have asked brilliantly about the experiences of the Sephirot, and like how do you actually like locating what parts of ourselves are on the Sephirot and how we experience them. And that to me is a little bit more profound. So this is a breakdown on how you literally can experience the Sephirot, kind of through a non-dual lens. And again, remember, the contradiction here is that we're playing with duality. The duality is the many and the one, but they're actually the same thing. We've heard that one, but it's kind of like the experience is, I want to do an exercise with you guys. So I want you all to remember the alarm that was going off? Let's use that. I want you to now close your eyes and focus on my voice. And now I want you to focus on the alarm that was going off. And I want you to hear that alarm in your mind. Can everyone hear that alarm that was going off? And I'm just going to still speak now, but I want you to hear the alarm while I am speaking to you. Can everyone hear it in their minds? Tell me if you can. Okay, great. The contradiction here is, how the hell can we hear something that's not happening, but you're also hearing my voice? Here's another example. I want you to look at your computer screen, and I want you to think about, or whatever screen you're watching me, and I want you to think about a pink elephant. I want you to envision a pink elephant in front of you. And tell me when you can see that pink elephant. Okay, so you see the pink elephant and you see the computer screen. How the hell can you see both, right? So this contradiction is what we're working with, right? I can see a computer screen, but I can see a pink elephant. WTF? How is this happening? The bridge between the one and the many is knowing that it's the same experience. And so that's why I say that mysticism and high magic is a participatory game. It's not a spectator sport, right? It's being all the things, all the sensations from within and without. It's uniting the object and the subject, the subjective experience with the objective world. Mysticism is, in a way, a bridge between the two. And when that happens, it's fucking incredible. In that vein, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the tree of life as a creation of ourselves coming out of consciousness. So we have one, Keter, which is pure consciousness, pure awareness. We might say this is samadhi, or we might say this is nirvana. And by the way, samsara, nirvana, same thing. Samsara is the world of the many, nirvana is the world of the one, but they are the same. Or we might say samsara comes out of nirvana, but even that, it starts to kind of hide the truth a bit. Son of Sun, every time I watch Joe, I get goosebumps. Thank you so much. Is that Silas? Maybe it's not Silas. But thank you. Be with that alarm and still stay focused enough to read for Amberlynn. Okay, Julie says, I'm still wondering how Joe could be with that alarm and still stay focused enough to read for Amberlynn. You know what? This is actually a really good moment because I want to share with you an anecdote. I was practicing some sort of dance or I was practicing for a burlesque show several years ago in a gym, and I was blasting music and I was blasting like really gnarly witch house music, which is not necessarily pleasing to the ear if you're not like really into it. It's very much an acquired taste, but I was blasting it. And next door there was a yoga class. And so the guy opens the door and goes in, and he's pissed, like red with anger. And he's like, "How are you having this music so loud?" And I'm like, "Wait, you're in a yoga class." And he's like, "You gotta turn this down. I'm trying to teach yoga." It's like classic irony. Like, and of course it's yoga class. And I'm a little bit of an asshole. I should have turned the music down. But like, obviously that's not yoga if you can't listen to, you know, like yoga is union. If you can't be in union with the sensation and everything around you, like, you're not, I mean, I don't know what you're teaching, but it's not yoga. It might be positions that may have stemmed from Tantra, that may have stemmed from yoga, kind of, which is a lot of what modern yoga, I believe, is. But, you know, anyway, my point is like being in every time I get annoyed a lot. I'm very impatient, you know. And so, you know, running my business with tech things, there's just so many things to get done. But every time I get annoyed with something, it's about being with the annoyance while also being with whatever you're doing, but knowing that they're the same thing. So fusing the two together. So fusing the annoying alarm with whatever I'm doing, with whatever you're doing, okay? So hold my dog is freaking out, but I think he hears something. But yeah, so yeah, it's like being, but it's one of the thing about like this kind of samadhi thing, and it's like, I feel like a lot of these things are not, like you get to this state of mind, but you kind of realize you are already that state of mind, like thou art that. But that state of mind, that pure, that consciousness is pure consciousness, but we separate it for funsies into the observer and the observed. So I'm looking at my YouTube live thing, and I am seeing a YouTube live thing, and for fun, and also so I can exist in this matrix, I conceive of the YouTube live as an idea, and I have a history, and I understand what YouTube live means, at least what it means to me in this moment. And then I have me over here, safe in my other side of the screen, right? But then there's the YouTube live, and then there's me. And so my mind separates the two so that I can dance with you guys, okay? And we do that with everything. We do that with up and down, right and left, hot and cold, you and me. And that's part of the game, okay? So we do that, and we create the observer and the observed. But I want to make something clear. It's not so much a split as it is, there already is pure observation. And out of observation, the observer kind of mutually arises from pure observation. And what mutually arises from the observer is the observed. Okay, this is what I mean by we're getting into a little bit of a semantic slippery slope here. But it's like, the observed is within the observer. This is very important, especially in the tree of life. Everything is cumulative. It's Russian dolls. It exists within itself. Okay, so every piece of the tree of life, as we go downwards, every sephira, I always confuse the plural. Every sephira exists in the sephira above it. Okay, so so the original sephirot are actually like this, boop, 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 okay? They're like Russian dolls, they're like layers. They're not like this fancy tree. This tree is just for thinking about it and playing with it and putting tarot cards on it and stuff. So by saying that, I wanna say that the tree is self-evident because it is contained within itself. All forms of mysticism, the experience is self-evident. How many Zen masters and mystics have you heard say, you're already that, thou art that, okay? It is actually the most self-evident thing there is. And I put a capital S on the self-evident. And this shows us a method through which we can inch our way closer to that capital S self, which is evident underlying all things. Okay, cool. Yes, Danny, it's turtles all the way down. We exist? Oh, cool. I see turtles all the way down. Yes. So everything that and remember how I said before earlier in the workshop, everything I say exists in the thing I said before. I've structured this class to be very specific in that way. So the observer and the observed. One more thing, I just got to stress this a lot. I can't stress this enough. The work that I'm talking about is not a spectator sport. And what we're doing is we're trying to make it a spectator sport. But again, we're active participants in this game, okay? Okay, so we have the observer and the observed, and they kind of come together, or rather, they are already together, but they realize themselves in the subjective experience. The subjective experience being there's a YouTube live over here, and there's a Joe over here, and we're getting jiggy with it. We're having a good time. Then the subjective experience, it like suggests or proposes or delineates or reveals or causes to mutually arise, I don't know a good word for that, the objective world, okay? But the objective world is in the subjective world. And I mean a lot of this stuff very literally, like, because it's all happening in your brain and your spinal column and all of that. Like if you wanted to look at it reductionist view, like materialist, like it's just the brain and the spinal column that we're looking at, like, but how can we even conceive of that, right? Okay, so from these come, and by the way, this is the creation, like I said, of ourself. It's also the creation of the universe. It's the universe, but it's the YO universe, like the universe. Like, and I myself, I don't know about y'all, but I'm much more interested in the YO universe, i.e. my brain and spinal cord, because that's my literal universe, right? Which is participating in all of it, which is mutually arising with all of it, right? So that's what I can control, but realizing that that's also part of the, okay. We get it, right? If anyone has questions, let me know, because I know a lot of have watched a lot of my stuff, but there might be some people that have not watched stuff and have no idea what's going on. So if there's anyone that's like lost, let me know. And if you're lost, for the semantic slippery slope, that can actually be a good thing. If you're lost, you may project. I mean, we're all projecting onto this what meaning we have anyway. So it's like, are we really lost? So the subjective and the objective world find themselves in the will and the what, which dances with the way and the how. Where there's a will, there's a way. This is the what, this is the how. So in NetSoc, in number 7, the number 7 is all about what do I want to do, or where do I want to influence, or how do I want to experience myself outside of myself. It's all about desire. Where Hod is the means to do that. So Hod is reflection, and in a way, method, and in a way intellect, and also in a way ethics, because in Hod we are in a place of consideration of others and of stuff, whereas in NetSoc it's not about considering, it's about what do I want. So you might compare this to the id, and in a way the superego, and the ego is in the center. That's another model you might want to play with. This graph is from my website, or if you go to the description of this video, you can download it for free. So where there's a will, there's a way, and will and the way kind of fuse into the personal subconscious, and that realizes itself through the autonomic nervous system as the body. So this is a model. Again, it's a model. It might not be a perfect model, but I think the most important part of this model is really what's happening up here. But it's a new way to look at the tree of life, because it is very possible, because all of these things I can say for certain out of experience are experienceable. Now, I might not be able to tell you, oh, Keter is the monad, the monad, the Godhead, and you can ascend the tree of life and do these things and have this experience. But I can tell you that pure consciousness is experienceable. And being the observer, you can experience that. Just as you experience the things you observed, you experience the subjective universe, you experience the objective universe. But I want you to know that the objective universe, some people might say is an illusion. Maya is creeping up as we go down. So remember before in the beginning of class, I said there are the duality that all mysticism is talking about is the one and the many, the zero and the one. The one is up here, and the one realizes itself as we go down the many. This is the ladder between the many and the one. This is the bridge between how can I see a pink elephant but a computer screen or a cell phone screen at the same time. This is it. And when you breach the wall that you have or I have that we have collectively invented to separate the two, we are literally, becoming all of this, the source, consciousness, all of that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far? I want to take questions for just a couple minutes before I go into the next slide because, and if anyone's confused, that's okay. Let me know. Pixelated Joe is freaky and cool. Oh, I hope I'm not getting too, pixelation itself is actually what we're talking about because what we're looking at is the one pixel, which is not a pixel, pixelating itself. And as more pixels arrive from it, there's more separation, more units, more diversity of color and things. The detail increases. The devil in the detail, right? They say the devil's in the detail. The devil, as we can understand it as ego, from a more esoteric sense, it's ego, which isn't a bad thing. It's just a thing that arises. It's the Maya, the world of illusion, which is fully pixelated. When we reduce the pixels and we become closer and we kind of everything blurs into one, that's the mystical quest. Currently using a fairy tarot deck. Any decks comparable? I'm not a big fairy human, though actually, I'm thinking of one fairy deck, but I don't remember its name, but I have to find it. I did have an experience with some interesting fairies at the Renaissance Fair, which got me in fairies for a bit. There's one that's like kind of mass marketed, and I found out Barnes & Noble, and I really like it, but I forget what it's called. Ayin, yes. Joe, do you have AC or a fan blowing? I do have AC. Is it distracting or is it like taking away from the sound? Because I can shut it off. Let me see here. Okay, we have this. I know it's true of light, but where is that crap? Okay, cool. So Kayla says, what I find ironic is that the tree is, as we're looking at it, is also a result of the separation of Keter. It's like what Crowley said, manifestation implies illusion. Exactly. Yeah. And as things manifest, there is more illusion. And that's why when Alan Watts says matter is really meter, what some people think of when they say manifestation is like law of attraction. What other people say, when people say matter from an esoteric spiritual lens, what people think of is like the grossness of the body, because we have that like medieval, like kind of early Renaissance influence of like, we have to transcend our gross nature and our passions are bad and all that stuff. But we've kind of gotten over that, right? And hashtag strength card, Leo the Lion, that's what it's all about. It's about integrating it, not conquering it. But what that's all about is, but what matter is, it's meter. It's the ability of the mind to discern between so many different things. It's more of a mental thing in a way. It's interpretation. From a phenomenological perspective, this is literally like the mind separating all sense data into all of these things, which are actually things. Meter, movement. It is a calculus. It's the matrix, quite literally, in a way that we press on fluid reality so that we can do things with it and have a good time. And in so doing, in pressing the matrix onto this flowy, weird reality, we are participating in it as creators, and we are creating, in a way, furthering the process, being, in a way, our own gods, right? If we know anything about God, biblically, it's that God is a creator, and we reflect that creative capacity. So we project the matrix onto this, like, prima materia, and we start cooking, we start doing things with it, we start shaping it around and playing with it. And that is the descent into madness. Well, into matter. The descent, the fall of Eden is that game, right? It's like how you have a video and a 2D representation of a 3D thing. Even our vision itself is 2D information of a projection of a 3D shape. Ooh, yeah. I read the tree is mirroring our body. Back to the sinister severity column is our own left side. Is that meaningful? Yes. So you can knock the tree on the body, and it's cool. Like you can have like Keter and Hokmah, Bina, and then you can do that. And there may be a connection to Geburah and like the left-hand path. And a lot of occultism talks about the left-hand path as this like dark kind of thing. And it can be that, but it originates from, I believe Tantra, I might be wrong, but it originates from the East, where the left-hand path somehow was more related to householder mystics, practitioners, people that wanted to learn mysticism and learn these methods, but didn't want to totally give up their worldly desires. And so that was like the left-hand path, I believe. I might be wrong. You have to fact check that. But yeah, a lot of really cool. Tantra is so freaking cool. It's really just like so much of like the magic as we know it in the West it's very much like Tantra, very similar. I think I might be wrong, but I feel like the Golden Dawn, McGregor Mathers, they were like sourcing a lot of tantric things in their creation of their order and whatnot. Okay. So let's see, it's already 7:07. So let's keep it cooking. So so any questions on this tree and how this is like doing its thing? I'm going to start talking then about, oh, I'm sorry. Victoria says, Joe, does energy ever skip spots on the tree to other places, or does the energy have to flow through each pit stop? Is that a thing? Great question, Victoria. So what I would say is, that's a good question. I would say that it's more like the energy, the tree of life expresses in this tree of life expresses elaborately the creative process, but so does each card. So everything, all the energy that we're looking at is either hinted at, suggested, or mirrored in each piece of the tree in a way. Yeah, so it's kind of like we can look at the emperor, and if we study the emperor enough, we will understand the ruling nature of the ego in relationship to earth, and that shows us the bridge between the self and the whole, which is what the tree is all talking about. You know, we can look at the hanged man, and same thing. We see the ego being suspended between worlds above and below. It shows us the bridge between below and above, the many and the one. It leads to the same thing. Each tarot card, each, in a way, Sephira shows us that. So I would say that's how I'm looking at it in this context. But I would say that, yeah, does that make sense? But what I do for fun is I would say you can find where an experience is on the tree, and if you want to change that experience, look at the paths, and that might give you a lot of insight. This probably exists, but I haven't seen it like anywhere, and I think it's like a little bit like obvious of a thing to do. I found, and so I think I might be teaching more of this kind of stuff. Maybe it exists, but like if I'm like having a bad day in Geburah, and I want to like, you know, I don't know, let's say I want to incorporate whatever is not working for me and make it better, or like learn something from it, or like connect to my higher self or my conscious mind, I will take the path of justice. And I will meditate on justice, and justice through its attributions and symbolism may direct me into how I can harness the challenges of Geburah and bring it into my higher mind, into Ferret. A couple other things on this tree that's important to note is that we have embodiment down here. We have the personal subconscious. The personal conscious is Tiferet, but it's also the Philosopher's Stone in Christ consciousness. The Philosopher's Stone is is really, and again, these symbols just keep pouring into themselves because mysticism is self-evident, the Philosopher's Stone is that bridge between the many and the one. It's the link. It's Christ consciousness, it's the Buddha, it's divinity and incarnation, it's the Word made flesh. And Philosopher's Stone is really like, and we can also say the Philosopher's Stone might be the what catalyzes that awareness. Okay, so I have the Philosopher's Stone right in the center, the bridge between the divine and the material. Okay, so let's go into some of these cards. So the way that we can look, I'm going to give you an example. I don't want to go through all of them because we'll be here forever, but maybe we'll just start. Yeah. We come out of the Fool and the Magus. So from pure consciousness, the way pure consciousness becomes the observer is through the path of the Fool. It is through the path of Aleph and the element of air, actually, which is in this case more of a vacuum. So so this is like the life breath. So it's like the breath of life that the source God breathed into us for us to be. That's the Fool card. The Fool is all about coming into incarnation and kind of coming down into this experience. So now the way that pure consciousness becomes the observed is through the magician. And this is interesting because what does the magician do? He focuses on his tools. He's using tools to manipulate the world of matter. And so that is the observed. And they unite through the Empress. The Empress is a marriage between the observer and the observed, which we might say is love itself, because the Empress is connected to Venus, the planet of love. Venus is also a planet of the diversity of sensation, the diversity of experiences, all relationships, all things that come out of the marriage of observer and observed. Venus is the dance that Joe can do between the YouTube live over here and the Joe. The Joe, the Instagram live over here, and the Joe. The dance between is the Venus. I want to give you guys a very specific example of how you can kind of incorporate these cards into something larger. I really want to press like tarot beyond I love divination with tarot, and I still do it, and it's so fun. But like, I just feel like this to me is more, it's all encompassing, and it really like, it really kind of situates you in what the fuck is happening, like in a very existential way, you know? And I think that's, I don't know, I feel like this leads out of suffering at a faster rate than divination sometimes, but that's just me. So the observer going into the subjective experience. So one way, for example, so I'm going to give you an anecdote. Last night, my new ADHD hyperfixation is skateboarding. I don't know how this one's going to last because I have fragile bones in my old age, but I all of a sudden, like, TikTok or YouTube decided it was time I started skateboarding. So they're showing me skateboarding stuff. So I'm getting super into it. And so I decided I want to learn to do an ollie. It's like the first trick you learn to do. And what I did was, instead of just going, I was so busy yesterday, I couldn't like actually go outside. No, the day before, I couldn't actually go outside and play. So what I did was, while I was falling asleep, I was watching videos on how to do an ollie. And so what I did is I actually mentally rehearsed the ollie in my mind as I fell asleep. And then the next day, when I had time to go out and play, I had that mental rehearsal that prepped me enough to actually kind of do it without completely dying. And I kind of did it in my ish. And that's the Hierophant, because it's your Hierophant. We know the Hierophant is a card of learning, right? A card of doctrine and teaching. So I'm learning something. But how does learning happen? From the observer to the subjective universe. So by being the observer, you are observing the thing you want to learn. You're becoming aware of it. You are watching it. And then what you're doing is all of your neurons are firing in these new ways to create that same thing in your subjective experience, right? So we build up the experience in our subjective world so that we can enact it in the objective world, okay? So that's what the Bridge of the Hierophant does. Does everyone see what I'm kind of playing with these paths? Mirroring the Hierophant, we have the Chariot, which is the observed realizing itself in the objective world. So the Chariot, on the other hand, which mirrors the Hierophant, is all about our bodies and our vehicles of incarnation, which is the body, but also the energy body, but also the mind. Anything that is in service to something higher. That's the chariot. And so it's all about the separation into a unit of consciousness. The chariot is Cancer. Cancer is the shell, the crab, the shell of the crab, right? And the crab, it protects. So cancers are naturally very protective. It's all about creating this encapsulation, this protected encapsulation for a unit of consciousness to exist. And that's how the observed, these particulars, which are coming out of observation, become part of the objective world. The objective world being made up of units of consciousness, humans, animals, species, but also just objects, we might even say, if you want to stretch it that far. Cool. All right, so it's been a while. Let me check chat and see if there's any questions. If there's any questions, let me know. Yeah, so Spiral, Spiral says, I think I saw someone trying to do that with their spell work on the Wiccan subreddit years ago. They asked what Sephiro they should do their spell in. I didn't know how to answer. And then Kayla says, yeah, Spiral, that's an incomprehensible question based on thinking these are places and not concepts. Yeah, I really, and do you know what? I'm not saying they can't be places. And I'm not saying that they, maybe they are places to some people. And maybe you can travel to them. And maybe I just haven't gotten the skill yet to travel to them. Or maybe there are places in the subjective world. But based on my understanding of the history of this stuff and my personal experiences, it's a little bit, it's a framework of understanding that is inherently contradictory, and everything is contained within itself. And so what I would say is we're always in all of the Sephirot all the time. Now, another Kabbalist, I'm not necessarily a Kabbalist, but a Kabbalist might totally disagree, and a Hermeticist might, but that's kind of how I see this kind of stuff. And when you go back to some of the older versions of this, it's really not like it is now. It's much different. Like the Sefer Yetzirah is very strange. It's very mysterious, but it's just enumeration. It's just counting. And the way I kind of see it is I see these deep sages, philosopher, mystics, contemplating the universe and trying to describe an experience, an ineffable experience, but they describe it through numbers because numbers is something we can understand pretty easily. So they describe it through a procession of ideas. Yeah. Okay. So we've already gone for an hour and 20 minutes. Is there any questions on, I think I'm going to do a part 2 or something to this. Well, I'm going to get your feedback. I want you guys to actually email me what your thoughts on the live, and if there's any other things you want to learn. I know I didn't go through all of the cards, but I wanted to give you the basic framework, and I want you to take away from this class how far you can really go with tarot and the Tree of Life. And because I don't know, after an experience or two, this is all almost what I do all the time, because really, I don't know, I'm trying to end suffering, seriously, suffering freaking sucks. And this is all forms of mysticism, and all these maps kind of show how to do it. There's manuals for this shit, thousands and thousands of years, they're old manuals for this shit. And it all kind of says the same thing. Peggy says, wow, mind blown. Thanks, Joe. I'm starting to understand TOL. You're brilliant. Thank you so much, Peggy. Yeah, thank you. This is a heretical version of the tree. It's kind of like my version. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. It's really fun. The Tree of Life is so freaking cool. I just love concepts. I love diagrams. I love visual. It helps me a lot. Coffee Cup Tarot, that sounds awesome. Peaceful Word, it does. I think the Sephirot as different worlds in their relationship to the world of each planet they represent. I like that. Exactly, the entire tree is the all, everything, all at once. We're in everyone. Yeah. I think meditating on one could definitely help in spell work or inspire spell work. Well, what if you woke up I'm mal something, and the only way out was up the tree. Just a crazy thought. What if you woke up? The only way was up the tree. Yeah, I mean, the irony is we're all woke already. It's all happening here now. It's like, yeah, great live, Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gina. Coffee Cups Tara, amazing class show. Thank you so much, Coffee Cups. Woke up in Malkuth. Yeah, I mean, in a way, I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, maybe if we were on the other side of the tree, if we thought about waking up, like in nirvana, as incarnating, and we're like, one day we're going to achieve the sweet nectar of complete transcendent bliss, which is incarnating. And now we're like, one day we will achieve the sweet nectar of transcendent bliss, which is non-incarnated, right? It's like the gods want to incarnate into the flesh, but the humans of the flesh can't help but romanticize the gods. Stacy says, I'd love to hear more about the pathways to enact personal growth and advice for others. Therapeutic vibes. Okay, cool. Good idea. So what's an example? Does someone want to give me an example of like something they're going through? Yeah, let's do that. Someone who's like, if you're going through something or like having a challenge with something, it could be big or small, it could be anything. We can look at it on the Tree of Life and see maybe the tree can show us something about that. And then I'll kind of, after this, I'll kind of wrap up. But yeah, if anyone's like having like an issue or going through something, let me know. And we'll see how the Tree of Life can like show. Okay, Stacy says I can't find a job. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm like, it's so fun because Stacy, by the way, y'all have to understand, Stacy's brilliant. So fun. So I can't find a job. I might say, well, to me, what is job? Job is connected to the devil card because the devil card is Capricorn, and Capricorn governs career, the 10th house. So I might say I would go to the devil card, which is right here between number 8 and number 6. So the bridge here is the way and the how, and it links the way and the how to the Philosopher's Stone, which is Christ consciousness. Now, this is an interesting one. It's like, see, this is where how can we apply this therapeutically in more of in a self-development sense? It might be suggesting to let go of, like, it's about, the way and the how is like the direction and taking all well, I'm going to say this. From the Thoth deck, we have Dionysus, we have Bacchus, we have all of that, right? We have like the lustful devil. Now, the lustful devil, the way and the how idea, the way that supports the lustful devil is the lustful devil wants to unite with everything. That's the big thing with Pan, okay? The devil card is Pan. And Pan is this wild, lustful, like impetuous, but glorious spiritual drive to unite and experience all things. And so we might say, what is the way and how? What is the how are you going to find that job? The devil card might say lust in all directions. And by having that lust, which is actually divine, and by lust, I mean just general desire and curiosity and play. When we think Peter Pan, crazy, chaotic, fun, having that curiosity, having that like race to experience all possible directions, that brings you into Tiferet, Christ consciousness, Philosopher's Stone. Now, Tiferet is your higher mind, your higher self, your conscious mind, but also your holy guardian angels and your guides. To me, that's kind of saying the how is the sheer almost lack of control or insatiable curiosity and movement in all directions, which is the Pan, which is the devil card. That's one way to do it. You might say, okay, well, maybe I want to physicalize a job. I want to embody a job. You would take the path of the Aeon card or the Judgment card. And the way that this is kind of the inverse, because this would say, well, choose one path. Because the Judgment card burns up all paths but one. And spiritually, this is like the union of the self with the capital S self, the whole universe. But practically, this is like an awakening into what you're meant to do, your higher purpose. And usually the Judgment card and the Aeon card, they show up and they're not always easy because they burn away. They actually burn lots of bridges it's a card of fire. It's the primal fire, card of primal fire. So it burns bridges so that we're only left with the one bridge that's actually true for us. And so we kind of go down into this funnel into the physical embodiment. So those are two ways. So that's saying one, try absolutely everything, take every action, or the other, focus on one thing and really own what that is. Let's see what else we can do with this. Yeah, I would say, you might say, okay, maybe if there's some subconscious work to do around finding a job, you might illuminate that through the path of the sun. The sun is the frontal cortex of the mind and becoming made aware of things. And to arrive at more of a kind of subconscious, personal subconscious, like control, or like integrating the subconscious into what you're doing, there might be that work of like illuminating things and like connecting to the inner child through the sun. That's another possibility. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to play with. Which felt lighter to you when I said it? That's the question. Cool. Are there any other questions while I'm here? Okay. Oh, Kayla says, I have a big one. Found out today my business is in debt, and I'm trying to get my business more traffic so I don't go under. Okay, so this is cool. So there's a couple of things we could look at here. Business traffic, marketing, all of that would be in the realm of Mercury. So I might say we might go to Mercury, which is the magus, which is how does pure consciousness arrive in the observable universe, or the observed, not the observable universe, that's astronomy, the observed. And I mean, that's all marketing right here. And it's like using the tools, right? So you would jump into the magus and the magician card and meditate on what tools do I have? What skills do I have? What do I know how to do? What do I not know how to do? What do I enjoy doing? Another thing with the magus card is very much about spontaneity and being in the flow state, in the way that like the magician is so dexterous with their tricks. They're so in the zone that it happens almost naturally, as if they're not trying. And they're not actually micromanaging. They're not forcing it, right? They've come to a sense of like, it happens naturally. So good. It's like, what's the word? It's, I keep forgetting words today. But it's like, it happens naturally. So you might go into like, what skills do you enjoy doing that draw in attention? And the function of the magus card and this path is attention, is focus, and also intention. So you would meditate on attention and all those things and answer all those questions and kind of dive into the magus. And maybe if you're magically inclined, if you want to get involved, maybe do a lot of things involving 8. And maybe, I don't know, I love fish. I'm not a pescatarian, but I love it. Maybe eating a lot of fish and doing like all things that correspond to the magus and Mercury. Yeah. Let's see, what else? Or you can go in the way, how am I going to manage this? And you can go through the devil card and kind of lust in all directions, like I talked about previously. Yeah. But I think traffic and channels, is all. You might also go down to the Mercury Sephira, which is Hod. So Hod is connected to Mercury down here, and you might work with all the correspondences here, the way, the how, and start to incorporate the Aeon, the sun, the Tower, and the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man being surrender. So actually, we might say, okay, if your business is in debt, that might be Geburah. And so how can we go from Geburah to finding a way out of that debt is through the Hanged Man, a level of surrender. It might be letting go of something, but it can also be letting go of what you thought your business was. There's a huge surrender with the Hanged Man and an inversion. So it might be that a period of time where things aren't really happening allows you to pause so you can ever so slightly adjust the coordinates and move the exact amount of degrees, and then you continue walking, which will actually change everything because you're walking in a different direction. It'll literally make miles and miles of difference, down the line. That's another thing with the Hangman. and arrive in the way and the how. But yeah, one thing is, and I want to say is like a lot of with manifestation stuff, it's surrendering the how. The irony here is we're letting go of the how, which allows the manifestation to come forth. In a way, we might say it's the how that we are surrendering. Okay, cool. Any other questions? So there are several cards in the Thoth deck that represent or belong to each Sephira. Yes, the Thoth deck is all the Tree of Life. Yeah, it is actually, Crowley might say it is, the tarot is an illustration of the Tree of Life, or at least an illustration of the Kabbalah. Silas says, this is so amazing to listen to. Thank you, Silas. That means so much. I miss having you in class. I hope you're doing well. I have to meet all you guys someday. That would be so cool. Dan says, is your info in the Student Center, Stacey? I'm going to hit you. Okay. Yes, Student Center. If you're my student, share your info in the Student Center. Okay, so I'm going to do one last plug, and then I'll start to wrap up. So if you're interested in this type of stuff, Tree of Life, Hermetic Kabbalah, the Tarot, the Thoth Tarot, and kind of taking Tarot into a larger perspective. I do teach courses on this stuff. Y'all know TarotMysticismAcademy.com. I have my Tarot Masters, the Thoth Tarot Mastery course is coming up in less than a month. It's a jam-packed course. It's probably going to be over 40 hours of lecture material, live training sessions, ebooks. It's going to be so much stuff. It's massive, honestly. But the coolest part about it is the community. A lot of the community is here in the chat right now. You'll get connected to an international group of fellow mystical misfits and professionals and readers. And if you're really looking to take tarot into a spiritual direction and a more philosophical, like a deeper direction, it's for you. If you're looking to really refine your divination skills, it's for you. And if you're looking for anything regarding professional practice, it's for you. So we cover all those things. We're going to be covering all those things. But I will say, if you're interested in doing the course, apply early because it does fill up. And so far in my past couple courses, I had to not let people in because it was too far into the course. And I always have people coming last minute asking about applying and if there's any spots left. And I can't really be letting people in anymore after that first class because it's already so much you're going to miss. Specifically for this one, because this course is a full curriculum. And if you have not taken Advanced Tarot, which covers the Tree of Life and the Sephirot and the astrology and a bunch of stuff, you're not going to understand the Thoth Tarot Master Course. You need to know astrology and Kabbalah to understand the Thoth deck, if you're doing it traditionally at least. If you want to use like all the fun toys, all the shiny things in it. So with that said, I do have a fast track program for people that want to take the Thoth Tarot Master Course, but have not learned all of this stuff and have not taken my level 2 class course. There's a fast track program, but it's only available if you apply early. So if you want to apply to these courses, and the level 3 is a certification program too, you can go to TarotMysticismAcademy.com and go to where it says Thoth Tarot Master Course, hit more info. It'll give you all the details on the course and when the live training sessions are and all that stuff, and then hit apply. It will allow you to schedule a private one-on-one with me. We'll get to chat and make some magic together. And I'm really excited for, I'm excited for my current group because my current group is badass. And a lot of them are already registered for this course. So I'm just excited to keep the fun going. But yeah, it's a freaking awesome group of people. And I just keep meeting the coolest people, psychics, mystics, professionals, psychiatrists, artists. It's a whole Renaissance moment. And I really couldn't be more grateful for all the people. Victoria says, seriously, class with Joe and the gang is just the epitome of pure warmth, of amazingness. Thank you, Victoria. I feel the same way. It's my favorite part of the week is meeting with you guys and just chatting about the astral. Peaceful Warrior, Danny says, it is the best. Thank you so much, Danny. I'm so happy to be connected with you. Kayla says, can I ask how much the courses cost, if anything? So there's varying pricing because I have different students coming in from other products, and I have students coming in that are totally fresh, and then I have different ways you can take the course. So so there's a lot of different pricing options, but if you're feeling called to it, definitely schedule. We'll chat about all of that, and yeah, it'll be fun. Oh, Danny says you can't afford not to be there. Oh, thanks so much, Danny. Yeah, it's really freaking cool. And honestly, the coolest part was when the students of Tarot Mysticism Academy, there was like a moment where the community like a balloon just went like this, like, and it kind of carried on, and people started scheduling their own sessions with each other and practicing and doing their own healing with each other and staying in touch. Like, it's really freaking cool. Like, I didn't expect a community to really like happen like it's doing, and I couldn't be more grateful. It's so fun. And yeah, lots of healing, lots of vulnerability, lots of intelligent conversation. It's freaking awesome. Lots of great personalities. So yeah. Silas says, how is this different than the first Thoth Tarot course? So the way I do it is it's partially, the Thoth Tarot Mastery course is partially video and partially live. It's a hybrid course. So the video portion will be, I think it's about like 20 hours or so of video. I still have to cut them up, but it's like, it kind of gives you all the lecture information, details you all the symbolism on every card and the theory and like the method and opening of the key. And then the live will be us coming together. So Thoth Tarot Mastery takes what you've learned in Advanced Tarot, all the kabbalistic and astrological knowledge and numerology and the methods, and it zooms further into the Thoth deck. So you'll get like an ebook that details every single symbol of every card, and we'll kind of look a little bit more into the philosophy, and just it'll be like a deeper, like if you look at, there's a sample of the ebook on my website, and it like details every single thing. So Thoth deck is your thing. That's the course for you. Okay, so I want to thank everyone so much for coming to this class, and thank you, and Monty 987. Well done, thanks. Peace forward, please do. I love with cards. Sorry about the alarm, but I'm glad we got through it. If you have any questions for me on tarot or esoterica, shoot me an email at joe@tarotwithjoe.com. And please feel free to leave me feedback on this class. How was it for you? And let me know what you would like to do next. I don't have much time, but with the time I do have, I'm going to try to do more lives and more like public classes like this. So let me know what you would like to learn next. Thank you everyone for your support. Thank you all my students that showed up, and just everyone for showing up. It was really fun. And I will see you guys again soon. Don't forget, applications are open for another month or so, but I definitely recommend applying early. Yeah, opening of the key, totally. Love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next wormhole.